and then to be on stage at Madison Square Garden, and then we finished the tour in my hometown of Seattle, at Climate Pledge Arena, or Key Arena, if you know, you know. Um, and I've been to so many Sonics games there, and like my whole family was there. Never cried on stage before that, gotta say. Not too scared to admit it.
Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. Now, my next guest, you know from his work in Issues. You'll have seen him out on tour with 21 Pilots recently. He is back with a brand new solo single. I'm delighted to say on the line right now, we have Skyler Acord. How are you, Sky?
What's up? I'm doing awesome.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I mean, we've just been chatting before this kind of started and everything. You must be pretty tired. I mean, tour's literally just wrapped at the time of recording, right?
Yeah, I flew back yesterday, and I'm still just like, what I'm realizing is there's a pretty big difference between off day tired and like tour just ended tired.
Finally hitting you all in one piece, right, man, after this epic run. Well, before we get into that, I mean, let's start, of course, with what we're here to talk about. You've got some new music. It's hours away at the time of recording. It's like literally about to drop this first single. I want to start with, I guess, the kind of obvious question, which is why now, really? You know, obviously we've known you for the stuff you've done with the group in the past. We can see what you've been doing these last couple of years. Why did now feel like the right time to embark on this kind of next creative project for you?
So there's a few reasons I wanted to put out my music now. First of which being just like a lot of eyes on me. Just finished the 21 Pilots, like the biggest, like I guess the crown jewel in their touring cycle, the American Arena Tour, right? So I wanted to catch some momentum, but in actuality, this music probably would have been out probably last year if I wasn't so busy. I wrote this song, so the song's called Knew It All Along, right? And I wrote it, I just found the first demo from 2017.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I've been doing this for a minute, but it took me a long time and a global pandemic to have, like, my sound figured out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the type of guy to just, like, if you give me 2 years to just sit on my butt, I'm just going to, like, make music every day, basically.
Nothing wrong with that. A good attitude to have. That's so funny that it's been with you that kind of long, though, as well. And it's interesting you say sorting the kind of sound out and everything. Obviously, I've heard it at this point. And I think what's going to really strike people is the diversity on there in terms of the sound. You know, I hear a lot of, I mean, Prince is my favorite artist of all time, right? So I hear a lot of that in there, a little bit of that styling in there, but then we get to the middle eight and there's those heavy guitars coming in. And then at the end, we strip it all back again. You know, it feels like you're not afraid to play with a lot of different influences in there. Tell me a little bit about, I guess, about the approach to that sound and what you kind of discovered.
Right. So just being in Issues for so many years and writing music in the Issues format for so many years, you get good at squishing things together that don't typically make sense genre-wise, right? And my philosophy behind my own music kind of started the same way, whereas Issues was like, what if we take like gent, melodic, hardcore, and R&B and squish it together and then see what happens or whatever. This was also an experiment in taking basically Quiet Storm music, so like late 80s, early 90s R&B and stuff, very also Prince-esque, and then like alternative music from the 90s that I really like, so like shoegaze and post-punk and synthy stuff, squishing all that stuff together, basically everything I grew up on, all in one soup. What happens? And the first song that came together in general was Knew It All Along, and that's also like, so basically just for to kind of give you an idea of like where this is going, this is the first song in an EP.
Oh, great.
The EP is basically all done. It's got to like, wrap it up or whatever. That's going to waterfall out. We're going to get the whole thing sometime next year, right? But the EP is philosophically very similar to what the Black Diamonds EP was for Issues, to where it's 5 or 6 songs where it's a lot of experimentation, like trying to find a spot to land on, which is why Knew It All Along is coming out first, because this was the first song where I landed on a sound with Lo-Fi, the producer. He's my twin brother. Issues fans might know him as Scout, right? So it felt right putting it out first. And if you think there's a lot of experimentation on this one, I can't wait for you to hear the rest of the EP.
Very exciting. Are we playing? So I guess, playing with lots of kind of different sounds. Like I say, kind of unafraid to take it wherever the mood takes you, I guess, this time.
Totally. Yeah. And one thing Lo-Fi pushes me on, because I love metal, especially black metal and death metal and stuff. Basically anything scary, right? My brain typically goes when I'm just like making stuff myself. Typically, I'll start with a chord progression. I'll write the song, and then I'll expand it out, very similar to an issues process. But when I'm jamming with my brother, he's always like, "Let's put some like crazy tremolo, evil guitar in it," and then we'll have like more stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to kind of see where it lands, because with experimentation comes kind of like a difficulty in, I guess, the sort of selling of the vision, right? Because if you have a lot of different elements, it doesn't fit into one lane. So kind of wherever it lands, I'm going to be happy with. But it's not. I don't. It's not alternative R&B. It's not exactly like alternative pop. It's not like, I guess, obviously not metalcore. So. But yeah, I just like being confusing. It's fun.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with keeping people on their toes. I like it a lot. It's good to see you kind of playing with those different styles. And of course, vocals front and center now as well, which has got to be a kind of different feeling for you. What was your kind of approach to that? I mean, again, it clearly fits the style really, really well with this particular track. But I mean, are we going to be hearing you screaming later on and stuff as well? What are you kind of playing with?
So that's a solid maybe. There's spots where I'm like, oh, I want to do that there, right? And different songs where there's like a lot more guitar forward stuff. Other songs are even more synth forward, right? There's ballads. It's basically all over the place. Just as much as like my Spotify playlist, the things I listen to, right? It's 80 DJ, right? It's like basically reminiscent of that. But yeah, I feel like where I'm going, it could kind of go anywhere. I have so many songs.
That's great. I mean, like we say, the EP sort of kind of a nearly finished type phase for you right now. But are you thinking already about like, I mean, you clearly enjoying yourself with this, right? So is it
Totally.
just the plan to just sort of see where it takes you and keep churning out more and more new music under this moniker?
Yeah, exactly. At the moment, I have something like 25 songs that are not new at all long, that I like, because there's obviously way more than that. But yeah, singing in general has been kind of a funny and exciting journey for me, because a lot of these demos from way back when, the stuff I'm still sitting on, like in my Dropbox, I can kind of hear the progress I've been making, because initially started singing just to give ideas to other bandmates or people I've been working with, whatever. And then got peer pressured into singing on the Last Issues album. So people have heard my voice, and I'm like, oh, I guess like this is cool. I feel a little more confident. And like I said, 2 years to sit on my butt, pandemic, right? I'm gonna just do it a lot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's funny because I feel like I'm still so early in my singing sort of journey that every single thing I do, I'm so significantly better than the last thing. I have to force myself to finish it, or else I'll never finish it.
Working out that working process, man, a whole new journey of discovery right there, I'm sure, when
Right.
you're working all this stuff out. Let's of course mention some of the stuff you have been up to in the last couple of days. You haven't been sitting around. You've of course been out there hitting the road with one of the biggest bands in the world. Just absolutely crazy. I remember I spoke with Tyler and Josh, kind of, it was just around album release, and I think they just done the live stream thing that of course you kind of got to get involved with the first time there. I remember Tyler saying something to the effect of, it felt like almost with the bandmates it was just kind of natural fit, like it all came together in kind of a scattered way. Like I think he actually said like he stumbled across this like perfect group. How's it been for you from your perspective, kind of coming into this very different world, I suppose?
Oh, I completely agree with him. It's like almost, it feels like an accident that everybody's just so sick and so chill, so such a great hang. And as far as I know, kind of the band idea started with I think I'm the first person they called, and I think that came from probably proximity with issues. We're in we actually, somebody just tweeted me an old Rock Sound mag from, I want to say 2013, 14.
Wow, way back in the day.
Right, and we're like on the same page. Like
That's awesome.
21 Pilots issues.
That's so good.
So yeah, we've been like kind of like doing this, chasing each other, chasing each other's tails for years. Obviously, they vastly surpassed us. So I think I'm assuming I was on his radar from that. But they called me, asked if I was doing anything. Clearly wasn't. And then I brought in Dan, the guitar player. They knew Todd and Jesse from bringing out their bands, Mute Math and Mr. Wives. So basically, the only thing they could vouch for us from the jump was that we could play, because that's all they'd seen. And then we all get in the room together, and like we're like besties. So
So nice when it works out like that, isn't it? No, it's been really really fun to watch these live shows and see that kind of dynamic grow from what was this kind of two-person operation into something a little bit bigger in those moments on stage. Great dynamic with you and Josh as well. That's just always really fun to see that rhythm section come together. That's got to be so nice to be connected with him on stage too.
right. Also, have you noticed this, that like in issues like Tyler Singer, drummer Josh,
So
guitar
weird.
Tyler,
You have very very specific requirements for your
right.
bands, right?
Yeah, I only play with really dope drummers named Josh. That is my only thing.
You gotta be specific with these things. You gotta make those demands sometimes, man, for sure.
Right.
How did you find that? I mean, it must be so hard to sum up this last tour in particular. Like you say, big US arenas, big dream rooms to play, I'm sure. But I mean, how did you find that experience actually taking that arena setup? Getting to play in these. I mean, what was that? Madison Square Garden was in there this time and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's got to be amazing.
I mean, it was insane. Like, you go to these shows as a kid, and whether you realize it or not, you're probably dreaming of being a part of something that's big, or some, it's like either on stage, or I want to work here, or I want to sell popcorn. Like at some point, like in the back of your mind, it's like, I want to be part of this. At least maybe that's, for me. And then to be on stage at Madison Square Garden, and then we finished the tour in my hometown of Seattle, at Climate Pledge Arena, or Key Arena, if you know. If you know, you know. Um, and I've been to so many Sonics games there, and like my whole family was there. Never cried on stage before that, gotta say. Not too scared to admit it.
Hey, it's a big
But
moment.
yeah, it was huge. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of stuff doesn't get to me, and I feel like a lot of things I had taken for granted in the issues days and everything. Not even that like I didn't appreciate it, but I didn't stop to like think about like, this is cool. Maybe I should like stop and like make sure I have some perspective on how exciting it is that Rock Sound's hitting us up, or that we're like, literally being in the UK, right? The first time I ever left the country was for an issues tour. And it was just like, oh yeah, this is just like part of my life now. Let's go. Right. And then, everything stopping suddenly, kind of puts everything into perspective. And then coming out of that and doing like this huge arena thing, it just blew my mind. It was like whiplash in the best way.
Man, what an amazing experience to have that, man. No, but I hope to see more of you guys on stage with them, because I think it's so nice seeing, we still get those elements where it's the two guys who started it all, but then to see it all fleshed out in these moments, just such a spectacular show. It's really, really cool, man. We keep mentioning issues, of course. We got to catch up a little bit there. I guess the last thing we heard from you guys, you put out the instrumentals from the album as well, which went
Right.
down really, really well. And it sort of begs the question of where you feel that might go next, because there is an option of, obviously there's a singer vacancy, but you could also go down the instrumental route. We see bands like Polyphia doing it to great success, and you guys are clearly more than capable of doing that. Have those discussions kind of been happening yet about where you see this kind of moving forward?
Right. So it's funny because like issues just in general, we've always taken forever to write music because we're such perfectionists to a fault, and I mean to a fault. um, but because of everything we went through over the pandemic, with firing Tyler, and then like the Beautiful Oblivion cycle kind of getting like chopped in half, um, people kind of assumed that we were like down for the count, like where'd they go or whatever. When really we just been writing music like we kind of always have, and taking forever with it. So at the moment, we have a bunch of stuff we're working on, a bunch of stuff we like, and as far as a vocalist goes, so we are kind of like just taking advantage of the situation that we're in, and calling up a lot of our friends that we respect, and just doing a lot of features, just doing a lot of like cool ass songs, like one offs with people we've always wanted to work with.
Oh wow! I mean, that's a great approach to take, though, for sure, man. You've still got that solid unit behind you, but then being able to experiment in lots of different ways. I know you won't want to give too much away, but you know I'm going to have to ask you for some hints now. I want cryptic hints, man. Who have we been kind of recording with?
Um, okay, I'll give you. Well, I can't. I've been instructed not to tell anybody. Actually,
Clues. I'll take
okay.
clues, man, and people can make their own conclusions. That's fine.
Well, I'll tell you our philosophy. Our philosophy overall is less like we don't want it to be. Let's see. How do I want to put it? Basically, we don't want it to be like, oh, of course I did that. We want to be like, we want the reaction to be like, oh, I guess that makes sense. You know. Like we want it to be surprising, like a little bit left field. You know, a lot of our friends that we've toured with and stuff, you know, like we've reached out obviously, and there's a lot of interest. But the funny thing about that is like they're all on tour, so that's kind of like it's kind of doing it. It's kind of happening naturally, organically, because most of the people that we go way back with are just so busy that like it's not happening until like they get time, you know, God willing. So kind of everybody we've been talking to is like a little shocking to me that they're even down. So I'm excited.
Man, I'm very, very intrigued, very excited to hear what you guys have been up to for sure. It'd be great to see what this next step is because musically, man, I mean, I know you say for obvious reasons, you know, the era kind of got cut short, but it was really interesting to see where you guys were going with that record. I'm intrigued to see what comes next. Do you guys have any kind of timeline you're playing with, or are you just happy to see where it goes?
We're the second one. Happy to see where it goes.
Okay, cool. So is it? Go on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying. Basically, we're like I was just in our group chat this morning. Like, guys, I just got back. Let's like grind on like this demo and this demo and this. You know, the whole game plan thing. When something gets done, it'll come out. And we're probably like, I mean, there's at least two that we're completely done writing the instrumental for, but we just can't like put out one. And then people are like, what's next? And we're like, hold on, guys, we're working on it. You know.
Yeah, fair play. Waiting to complete that project before you give it to us. I understand that, man. That's very, very exciting. Well, in the meantime, congrats on this single, man. Honestly, really, really interesting stuff you're playing with there. Very, very intrigued to hear what other music you're playing with. I'll leave you with this. It's something I always like to ask when people are putting out new music for the first time. Like I said, we're recording this like a few hours before the track drops. So
Right.
when those people hit play for the first time, what do you hope that they take away from Knew It All Along? What's your hopes for that first listen for the fans?
I'm gonna quote a friend of mine who heard it recently, and his first reaction was, "This feels like I'm drowning in lotion." I want that. I want it to feel like you're smooth and buttery, and you're surrounded by all these beautiful sounds, and then also like slightly uncomfortable. That's what I want.
That is not what I was expecting, but it kind of makes sense. I like that a lot. There's something there. You're onto something. Dude, always so great to chat to you, man. All the best to you and best of luck with the new music, all right?
Dude, thanks so much. I really appreciate you hitting me up.
Good to see you, man. All right, Sky, everybody.